A very good Tuesday morning and welcome to what is a typical December morning here in Manchester. It's grey, it's miserable and it's damp, so let's move along. Been away for a couple of days, been over in the delightful city of Chester, doing a little bit of shopping and generally walking around and having a nice time. If you are ever able to get to Chester, if you're coming to the UK, if you live outside the UK, or if you're in the UK and you've never been there before, it's a great little city to walk around, not too far at all, which is ideal for somebody with my problems, and lots of high-class jewellers where you can go either watch buying or watch window shopping, as I've tend to do when I'm in Chester. What I want to talk about today is actually a request from one of my subscribers who issued me with a question. A gentleman's name is Graeme Dobie, so I hope the answer is going to be suitable for you, Graeme. And he said that if I had £100,000, what watch would I buy? Well, my knee-jerk reaction to that is actually quite a simple one, which is I wouldn't, because why would I put something that costs £100,000 on my wrist? Now, let me tell you the reasons for that. Firstly, my conscience wouldn't allow it. You're all aware, if you watch my previous videos, I have a major problem with me buying watches that cost money, that is a substantial chunk of cash when there are people living on the streets. And my recent purchase of my Hulk, which I'm wearing today, there she is, was the prime example of that. That when I was watch window shopping for the Hulk, I did a video after I've been out for that day where there was a homeless village in one of the prestigious squares here in Manchester, where there happens to be a number of high-class authorised dealers and high-end jewellers who sell quality timepieces. So I was looking at buying something with a retail price of £6,050 when there are people 5 feet away from me who don't have a house to live in. So given that state of affairs, if I was feeling the prick of my conscience for a watch that was £6,000, I don't believe that I'll be able to get by my conscience pricking me at such a level if I was thinking about shelling out £100,000. Now, the other side of that is that, of course, because I am disabled, I use a walking stick when I'm out and about, and I can and have tripped and fallen in the past. Now, obviously the immediate reaction if you fall, of course, is you put your hands out in front of you to stop the impact as you hit the ground. Now, if you had a £100,000 watch on your hand, and you went down with a hell of a thump, and all of a sudden you looked at your £100,000 watch and it was no longer there. In fact, where it was on the pavement in hundreds and hundreds of little pieces. How would that make you feel? But in fantasy world, if I was looking at spending that kind of money, I have thought about this and I've had a look around. Now, kind of where I am, I'm trying to be kind of faithful to my country, as it were. And I will probably go down the route of a George Daniels watch. Now, George is viewed to be, and obviously this is seems to be opinions of the expert elite where watchmaking is concerned, the best watchmaker in the last 250 years. Now, George has a studio where he makes handmade timepieces, and I will include the web link for his website down below, on the Isle of Man. So he's actually not too far from me where he is, although the Isle of Man is classed as a separate entity to the rest of the UK. He's still in northwest England, so I would try to be kind of loyal to my area. Now, I think that George's watches start at the £90,000 mark, so I have £10,000 to play with, because if I've got 100 grand, so I can go up slightly in his range. And I suppose if I wanted to, and if money wasn't an object, I could commission a timepiece to be built specifically for me, where I could go in and say, right, you know, George, this is kind of what I want. I have £100,000 to spend. Email me your designs when you've done them, and I can make my comments and we can make changes along the line. And as soon as it is done, I will give you the money in good health with a smile on my face in anticipation of the return of a lovely timepiece. So I guess that's kind of where I am. If you have, excuse me, I picked up some sort of bug over the last couple of days, feel quite ill. So I guess where I am is, what I'm saying here is, if you've got 100k, whether it be pounds sterling, euro, dollars, I would kind of hunt out a bespoke watchmaker. Somebody who can make the watch I want. Something that would fit my needs, something that would fit my view of what a watch should be, because obviously we're all different. You know, we all have different needs and wants. You can go out and buy something like the Hulk, for instance, and after wearing it for a while, you might find yourself saying, you know, I wish it had this, or I wish they'd done that with it, or, you know, I wish the colour scheme was that little bit different, or a slightly different shade of green, or whatever. So the beauty of going to a bespoke watchmaker is exactly that. You can have a conversation with said person. You say, right, there's my list. This is the kind of, you know, I want, the sweet spot for me is a 42, 43 mil. I would quite like it to be, say, a bicompact chronograph. I would like it to be this colour. I would like the case to be a precious metal of some description or other. I would like the opportunity to have both a leather strap and a bracelet for the particular watch, and so on and so forth. So that is the beauty of having that kind of money. Would I shell out £100,000 on a, for want of a better phrase, a mass-produced brand? No, absolutely not. I mean, why would you? Because even though the market, as it were, for £100,000 mass market watch is very restrictive, because there's not many of us can afford £100,000. So you're very unlikely to see somebody else with the same £100,000 watch you've got on your wrist. But why take that risk? If you live in those kind of circles where there's people who have very few restrictions on the watches or anything, or cars or houses or holidays or whatever it is, they have very few financial restrictions. The possibility is that they may buy the same prestige timepiece as you just bought. Whereas if you go to a bespoke watchmaker and put to him the design, tell him your budget, he will be able to tell you whether A, he can do it, and if he's worth his salt, of course he'll be able to. 2, what is available to you as the watch buyer and wearer. And 3, he will fit in all his design experience to put together the watch that you want. So when it comes out of his door and you put it on your wrist, you know it is exactly what you want, because you've been able to spend the time with him, asking him what he's able to produce for that budget. And you will have the watch that you've always wanted, hopefully, and therefore that will take you away from the crowd. So surely that's kind of what we all want to a certain extent. But unfortunately, most of us can't achieve it, because to achieve that, you've got to have big money. I mean, when I did my month living review with the Hulk, I am convinced that you will never see a lot of Hulks around. I mean, at Chester yesterday, I looked in the Rolex authorised dealer, and they had one in the window. Now, that is the first time I've seen a Hulk in a shop window since I went window shopping in Manchester months and months ago. I've never seen one in an AD or a high-end jeweller anywhere. So we all want to try to attain, I guess, something that's a little bit different, from the crowd. That we've got something that meets our needs, that we're not going to see on every street corner. And that is the beauty of having the £100,000 budget, because if you take your time and you identify a watchmaker who will have the skills required to put together a bespoke timepiece, it will be exactly that. It will be a tailor-made timepiece for you. And surely that's all you can ask of anyone. So that's what I do, Graeme. And I hope that kind of asks your question. I wouldn't go down the route of going to the poshest jewellers. I wouldn't go down to Bond Street in London, for instance, and just shell out 100 grand on something that's in their window. I would have something made. So I kind of hope that answers your question. It's a little bit like when I was window shopping and there was a few watches that I was looking at. I always wanted to go a little bit left field because that's how I'm wired. And that would be exactly the same driving force if I came into £100,000 worth of money that I could spend on a watch. So if I won the lottery, let's say, the end of this week, which of course is never going to happen, but if it did, I would go out and find myself a bespoke watchmaker, as I would go out and seek out a bespoke suit maker if I wanted a very, very nice bespoke lounge suit or dinner suit or whatever. So there's your answer, Graeme. I hope that kind of satisfies you. If it doesn't and you wanted something more specific, I'm quite happy to have a route around through all the auction houses, you know, Bonhams and Christie's and people like that, and see what they've been selling, and see if anything actually flicks my switch as far as £100,000 watches have been sold in auctions. Let me know. So that's it for this one. I am cutting it short because I actually feel quite ill today, and I don't think my voice is going to last that much longer today. And some of you may say, well, thank goodness for that. So I shall move along. I will thank everybody for all the comments from my last video. Thank you very much indeed. I do know I've got a couple of new subscribers, not had time to check out who you are, so therefore I've not had time to send you my little welcome note. Do apologise. I will get round to it in the next couple of days. I will be away later this week. I'm off down to the delightful county of Oxfordshire. I'm going down to see my mum prior to Christmas. So I should be back on Friday, so I will do a video either Friday or Saturday. So questions, queries, suggestions for this kind of nonsense, let me know what you would buy if you had £100,000. Let you know, has there always been a target watch, that absolute grail piece? And I know we talk about grail pieces, you know, being a reverso or something like that. But if you had limitless money, but you'd put yourself £100,000 budget on a timepiece, what would you buy? Let me know down below, and I'm sure that Graeme will be interested to read all the replies as well. So for now, that's it. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, which will no doubt counteract the inevitable thumbs down. So as I always say, thank you very much for watching, and if this is your first time here and you're enjoying this kind of nonsense, feel free to subscribe, and I shall look forward to seeing you in the list. Thank you very much for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.